right, now we just went through the offering memorandum. Now we're going to go into the trailing 12 statement. This is the past 12 months, the trailing 12 months financials of the property, how it's been performing. And it goes through the income and expenses and what the end NOI is throughout the past 12 months. So it starts off with gross potential rent. The gross potential rent is if the property is running at market rates, this is what their total rental income could be, gross potential rent, which is essentially the same as market rent. So according to this property management company, they believe this all across here is what the market rent is for the quality of the units compared to similar properties around them. Now this is based on what the property management company believes is market rent. Then the loss to lease. So this is the difference between what they believe market is and what they're charging their tenants. So they are here in these first 3 months of 2020, they were actually charging more than what they thought market rent was. Then they did a reanalysis of the market rent and jumped up market rent up to $215,000 from the $202,000, and now they're showing that they're actually, there is a loss to lease here based on their new evaluation of the market. So that's essentially what they're losing on because they're not charging market rent. We have our gross scheduled rent, and then after that it goes into vacancies, your bad debt, and concessions. Now this one even breaks up into virus bad debt, so the COVID bad debt. They only have one charge on here from August, but it's interesting they included that. Now what we want to do when we're looking through the T12 is to start kind of adding up numbers so it's ready for when we do underwrite. So I want to add this bad debt together so I know what the total is when I go to put it in a template. So I just add those two together off to the side. And so I'll come back to that later when we're inputting the numbers in the template. Then we'll go down to other income. And in the other income, we kind of want to scan it and look for a few of the line items, which is essentially the utility line item. So utility income and utility billing processing fee. Because these are separate when we're doing our underwriting, is we take these out of the other income. So we're going to go all the way to the end over here, and we're going to add those two areas up. These two right there, and sometimes I'll even label it so I know. All right, and then I'll come down here and I'll take what the total other income is and I'll subtract it from the utilities. So now that number's set. That's the total other income we'll put into the spreadsheet when we get there. So other income, we have a lot of different other income, cable, laundry income, and all this is great and good to know, but the main thing we want to look for is utility so we can separate that from the other income. Then we drop into the expenses. Here we have administrative expenses, pretty typical stuff. We got some legal fees in there and, just office expenses. Then, here's something to look at as well is security service contract. Now this one might be a contract services. We might need to know for later. But for now, I think this is fine. We can keep it in the administrative section. Then they break out the management fee, which sometimes they include in administrative expenses or they include the management fee in like maintenance. So that's something to always pull out as well. But here they do a good job at dividing that out. Then we go down to payroll, and they split payroll up into two sections, administrative payroll and repairs and maintenance payroll, which is kind of nice to see the difference. But most of the time in trailing T12 statements, you'll just see one payroll section. And so then here's a total payroll, and we'll use this total payroll number in the spreadsheet. Then we have our marketing and retention. pretty typical stuff there. Then we have our repairs and maintenance expenses. Now this one we're going to want to scan through and see the line items to see if there's anything we need to pull out on here. For example, we have alarm service and maintenance. A lot of times that's contracted services. So it's not necessarily your maintenance crew won't handle that, or the property management crew won't handle that. They'll hire that out, they'll contract it out. So we're just going to highlight this for now, so we can come back to that and divide that out if needed. Appliance repair, supplies, carpet cleaning, cleaning services. That one might be a contracted services as well. So let's highlight that one. Electrical supplies, entry gates, fencing, general maintenance, landscape contract. Look at that. It says contract in that. So they contract that work out. We're going to highlight that one. Lighting, paint service, paint supplies, pest control service. That one's a contract service as well. Plumbing service, supplies, pool maintenance, pool supplies, roof repairs. So I think these services ones could be contract services too. So we're going to go ahead and go back and highlight these ones. If I miss any of them, let's check. Looks like it's pretty good. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add those up and have what all those kind of sum up to. It looks like I had some here before, but we're going to redo this. I'm going to put it right here. Add that one. Just add all of them up. I'm going to label it contract services. Then again, like I did up there at the top, we're going to subtract out the contract services from the repairs and maintenance. Then the next item is the turnover maintenance expense. So this is all their turnover costs. This one's actually, it's interesting. Some T12s will separate this out from the repairs and maintenance, and then others will include this inside the repairs and maintenance. We include it inside when we're doing our underwriting because a lot of the times they don't separate it out. So we're going to actually add in to this one that we already subtracted out of, add that $45,000 into that $63,000. So that's our total repairs and maintenance right there. I'm going to bold that just so I make sure I know that number. All right. After repairs and maintenance, we have our utility expenses. And something here, along with the whole spreadsheet or the T12 when we were looking at it, a lot of times we want to look across the board and kind of see if there's any trends throughout the year. If there's any high months, low months, seasonal months, we want to kind of pay attention to. Because sometimes we could see, for example, water or sewage, it might have some peak moments, and that might indicate that there is, a broken pipe or something. Like in February, it doubled from January expense. And so that's something to pay attention to see if there was any problems on the property, or if for some reason the expense is super high, or it's gone up drastically over the year. That could mean there could be an underlying issue there that we can go in and solve that. Or it might be a red flag. So always pay attention to those. These look pretty good for the most part. $406,000 for all the utilities, and then we do bill back for that. At least the property has started billing back. We can scroll up and check that out again, what the income was for utilities. I believe that was, there it is, almost $300,000. So that's pretty good. We end up just paying $100,000 at the end. And then the last part, usually at the end, is our taxes and insurance expense. So we have our taxes right here up top, and then our insurance, the next three. And so we want to add up those three insurance expenses. So now we have that separate. And that's essentially a T12. It's pretty simple, laid out and organized. A lot of times you can find some pretty ugly T12s. And when you don't have a T12, they just provide an income or like a profit and loss statement. Those ones aren't as nice to work with either. They can be pretty messy. But understanding how to use a T12 like this and the importance of the numbers will just help you understand the profit and loss statements as well. And we can always dive into those and further trainings of how to pull the numbers correctly there. Essentially with those profit and loss statements, you're not going to have, the main part you won't have is this up here. You'll have your net income, but all this up here, you're not going to have market rent, you're not going to have loss to lease or vacancies. This is information you're going to have to dig up and find based off the rent roll and your own research. So there's the T12. Next, we'll dive into the rent roll.